So Goldbridge recently, and it's not just him, are suggesting that United want to move the defensive line higher up the pitch with Martinez and his new potential partner in Lenny Yoro. But we will be forced to drop deeper if Maguire and Lindelof are the ones coming in because of rotation or due to injuries next season.
I'm scared about that because Martinez and De Ligt, you cannot rely on them being fit every single game, and there will need to be rotation. Now, De Ligt and Martinez will push that defensive line up because that's what they want to do. But the minute you take one of them out through injury, suspension or whatever, you bring Maguire in, you bring Lindelof in, you bring Evans in, back we go to the edge of the box, and then there's that big void in the midfield again, and we're getting run through.
This narrative that defenders like Lindelof and especially Maguire can't play in a high line in defence is a story as old as time. It's a myth that's plagued us for years, and I'm here today to bust that myth. Under Ole, with Maguire and Lindelof, largely our centre-back partnership, we had the 4th highest defensive line in the league, while also finishing 2nd. What is that about then? Why do we choose to ignore that fact just to help our own argument? Are we also going to ignore the fact that when Martinez actually played for United last season, our defensive line height actually dropped? The fact of the matter is that pace isn't the be-all and end-all of playing a high defensive line, like many would have you believe. Take Maguire. He's actually a very aggressive defender, which is something you do need to play in a high line, and it sometimes does make him look more clumsy than your dad at the disco. But that's what happens when these type of challenges don't come off. And the fact is that when Maguire is in that defensive line, it's actually higher up the pitch than where Martinez is playing. Another reason for this is going to be how dominant Maguire is in the air. It's obviously not just in and around his own box, but the fact is that whenever an opposition plays a long ball anywhere near Maguire, it's largely coming straight back at them. And with Martinez, he's much more likely just to drop off at times, allow the opposition to win that aerial duel, and then he can try and fight and scrap for that second ball then. And that also does put a lot of pressure on your midfield to go and try and win and dominate between the lines as well. The one thing that Maguire does hugely lack is going to be that recovery pace, but how often are you seeing long balls played just through the middle of defence? You know, even if it's out wide, as long as you use your angles wisely, you can largely make up for that lack of pace. For me, it's not the be-all and end-all in avoiding playing a high defensive line. Obviously, there's going to be defenders more suited to play in a high line, and perhaps that's why Yoro has been brought into United, but to just blatantly say that United can't play a high line with Maguire and Lindelof is absolutely absurd.
Damn straight.
People act like Ten Hag had his hands tied behind his back last season, that he was being forced with a gun to his head to play a certain way, and just because of injuries. I don't buy it. The truth is that Ten Hag was instructing our backline to drop deep throughout the course of last season. We saw it no matter who was in that team. We thought that De Gea was one of the main problems with our defensive line, but actually bringing in a more proactive goalkeeper like Onana, our defensive line height still dropped. Now, we'll never know Ten Hag's true reason for the reluctance in being braver with his defence last season. Many said that our full-backs didn't join that press last season due to Ten Hag's nervousness with his centre-backs going one-on-one in wide areas. That hybrid press was a massive hindrance all season long, and that coupled with our low defensive line, it absolutely crippled us, leading us to largely defending our own box for large periods of games. And as Carragher stated last season, we defended with a high press and a low block at the same time. And now Carragher might not get an awful lot about United, right?
The other problem he's got straight away is the signing of Lisandro Martinez at the back. Now, we should never judge managers, players too early, but I'm convinced this can't work.
But how he analysed United for large parts of last season was absolutely spot on. The tactics United used led us to largely having one of the worst defences in the league last season. But why, if Maguire and Lindelof, those type of centre-backs, Johnny Evans as well, if they are the reasons why United can't play a high defensive line, why when Martinez and Varane were available, or granted for a few games last season, why did we not try and see Ten Hag try and get us higher up the pitch then? Why was that not implemented? The truth is that we'll never really know what was running through Ten Hag's head last season, but we know now that this season, with Ineos, They're not going to accept the same embarrassing defensive performances and the same defensive structure that we saw last time out. Ten Hag is on massive thin ice, and that defensive structure will play a huge part now as to whether United have a successful season next year or not. But I will not be having any more of this, we can't play a high line because Maguire's playing. We can't play a high line because Lindelof is there. It's absolutely brain dead. We saw Tottenham do it last season with Ben Davies as one of their centre-backs. I've seen him play for Wales. That guy is far from a pacey player. But you can do it. It just depends on how you're trying to set up your team. And I would much rather see United try and play a high defensive line, play on the front foot in games, and if we get burnt a couple of times, then at least you can see then, right, we need to change some of the personnel, and then this could work. Give us something to really back Ten Hag. That's what I'm after. And what I'm after is just having the people stop trying to plan, just try and bring out this classic cliche thing of certain United defenders can't play a high line. Absolute rubbish.